Good afternoon, family and friends. Welcome back to Cooking with Carol Diane. This afternoon, I've had such a day today. I started out going yard sailing, and that was always fun, finding little trinkets. And then I decided that I would go ahead and run down the road, not very far from me, is what's called Clark's Orchard, and it is with the Palisade peaches. And I'm gonna put together and show you from the beginning to the end of how easy it is to make my particular one of what I do of peach salsa. This peach salsa is so tasty. The first time I ever tasted peach salsa was at a peach festival here in Colorado, and I went to one of the stands and they had just a little tiny jar of peach salsa for $8. Well, I bought it to try it because I already had tried a little sample of it in a little cup. Thought it was very, very tasty. Okay, so then I came home and I thought, you know, there's not much to this. I think I can go ahead and make this homemade and have lots more of my peach salsa. So year after year, that's kind of what I've been doing, is making it myself. So I started with buying what's called a flat of peaches. And this is them, right here. This is a flat of peaches, a great big box like this. Now, years ago, many years ago, I truly remember buying a great big box like this for about $18. They were anywhere from $12 to $18. Not anymore. Not anymore. But this particular one I got pretty much a good deal on because these are not hard. They are soft, ready to eat peaches. And these are the kind that I talk about that have the peach fuzz on them. Perfect for what I want to do. So that was the start, was getting the peaches. Also in my recipe calls for some nice tomatoes. Well, I got 2 sacks, little sacks here, of tomatoes. And I got rather large ones because I like a nice tomato that is for hamburgers. So not only will I be using these, I also will be using them for all kinds of other things, but these looked pretty yummy. So I got those. And then in my recipe, it also calls for some nice sweet onions. So after I was done getting the tomatoes and the peaches, I gotta back up here. I got a little sack here, which is a little bowl of apricots. My neighbor's tree next door to me did not produce the apricots and hasn't for 2 years. So I just picked me up a few to snack on. So that was nice that I got there. And then over in the corner, they had these bags of kettle corn, and I decided I needed one of those, just have to have my kettle corn. Sister doesn't know what she missed today. Because this was so much fun, it really was. So I got the kettle corn. And then I left that fruit stand and I went down the road. There's all kinds on down the road. I just prefer to go to the Clark Orchards because I really like their peaches there. And usually they're pretty reasonable on their price. They really are. Anyway, I went down the road and then I got the sweet onions. Now, these are nice and big also. Nice big ones. Hamburger type onions, or in this case, I'm going to be using them in my recipe. And my recipe also calls for some bell peppers, and I am doing I've done the red and the green in my salsa before, but this year I'm just gonna go with the yellow. And so I picked these up also at the fruit stand down there. So that's the start to my fruit part of what I'm gonna do for my salsa. So I'm going to stop the video and I'm gonna go wash all this really well. I really am in my sink and get it all nice. And so this is actually what you need, except for you will need cans this size of Ortega dried or diced green chilies. And I just get the mild. I really do. I just get the mild. They're little 4-ounce cans, And on my recipe, when I'm going to start this, I'm only going to be using 2 cans of that. I'm going to be using some apple cider vinegar. I am going to be using a little bit of garlic, and I'm going to be using, which is on my other counter, some lime juice. I went and bought some different canning jars this year from what I normally have. Normally I buy these decorative ones that are the ball. And the reason why I like these is because a lot of times I give some of my stuff away, lots of times. And these particular little jars, they look like this, which I kind of like. I really do, versus just a plain jar. I will be sterilizing these, all of these jars, in a great big pan like this. I'm gonna be sterilizing them. I have, because I do canning, I have a few items, so I have one of these to pick up the jar when I get it out. I have a couple of them. I have one like this. I think this one came in a kit with a couple of my other items, and I don't like it as well, and I'll tell you why. It's got a roller here that it's slick, and this part, sorry, I had it going the wrong way. Well, it's been one of those days today, it really has. This part goes on the jar. These are the rollers up here, and sometimes they slip out of my hand. It really does. This is more of a Teflon coating on here, and it'll pick up the jar and it'll hold it. But I really kind of like this one better. I really do. It just, for me, at my age doing this, I don't want to drop my jar, or especially when I do the water bath, I don't want to have it dropped, and you know, that would burn me. In with, I'm pretty sure this one came the little ladle, and I like this little ladle. You don't have to have these, you don't, but this one has a little lip on it so that when you're putting it down in the pan that I'm going to be using to cook with, it just is going to rest on that pan like that, which is kind of nice. It really is. And it came with one of these that will go in here when I get ready. So just a couple of little items here to get me started. But what I'm going to do next, like I said, is go and wash all of this to begin with. I'm going to put these in my pan with water, all of them down in here. And this is a good pan because it's going to cover the whole top of this jar, and that's what I want. And I'm going to boil that and get these sterile with the lids and the tops off of them. Boil them all really well for a good 10-15 minutes until I really think, okay, they're nice and clean. I will wash them with soap and water first, and then I will boil them to get them sterilized. After I have my jars all sterilized, and I have this where it's nice and clean, then I'll come back on and I will show you how to put all this together and how to can and how easy it is. This is really fun to do, and because this weekend my children are off who knows where. One went camping, one went four-wheeling. You know, they're all gone. I know they're not going to pop in any second. So this is going to give me some time to get this done. I wish Sister was here. We'd have fun putting this together because I love to work with peaches. Anything with peaches, whether I'm making a cobbler, a pie, like this of the peach salsa. Peaches can be used for so many things because they're so good. So I'll be right back and to show you the next step. So hang on, please. I am back. I have washed all of the produce, fruit and the produce here. And so it's all nice and clean. So what I'm going to show you to begin with are, of course, the peaches. I'm going to take probably my serrated knife, and you have to get all the skin off. And that's the first part that you would do, is to skin them. I have a pan here that I'm going to be using to put this in and cook the peaches. I like to cook mine about, and I'm going to guess on this because I really didn't write it down. I wrote some of the ingredients down, but I didn't write down too much on how I'm cooking it lengthwise, because I just kind of eyeball it and I just see in the pan and know when it's done. I like my peaches to be soft, not hard when I'm eating the peach salsa. And I just take this and I will just come down and score it kind of like this all through the peach. All through. To get that away from the seed that is in the middle. And I can get with my hand here and I can usually take them right out. Sometimes not. Sometimes I have to help it along just with a knife. My recipe that I have calls for large peaches, and what I have, I would say these are more medium peaches. I really would. Small to medium. This now I would take, and if they're anything longer, then I would just cut them in half. Cut these little strips in half. Because again, when you're gonna go to eat this salsa and you have a chip in your hand, you want enough of the salsa where the chip, you know, it's gonna hold onto the chip. You don't want it falling all off the chip. So I would say pretty much bite size on the peach size part. Said I had so much fun today just going and driving along. It was not a real hot day today. It was kind of overcast, and I just kind of took my time and drove down there, and there were people from all over. In fact, there was a lady right beside me that was from New York, and that's a long ways from home here in Colorado, and she was passing through and she had to have some nice peaches. They had peaches there, and they had, I said, my tomatoes, which were nice. Always the little Bing cherries, but I usually just get my little Bing cherry. I mean, I've bought them at the fruit stands before, and they're wonderful. You can, down here, you can go in the orchards, and you can pick your own fruit, which is nice. I used to do that many, many years ago when I was younger and could get up on a ladder. I would go out and pick either apples or like that, the cherries, and that was really nice. I didn't do that today. Today I was strictly after this peach fuzz of the peaches that I want. When you go in the grocery store, pretty much all you're gonna see is the ones that are real slick skinned, and that's not the peach that I want. There's just something about these Palisade peaches, the taste, for one thing, and having that peach fuzz just makes for a better peach, I think. It really does. I have made a lot of peach jam, and since I have a whole box, which I will probably be giving several of it away, of course, to my kids, and I'll probably put up some peach jam with this. And if I was having a lot of company, of course, peach cobbler or a peach pie. Anything peach. Those peaches on that nice little cake that I made not that long ago that had the blueberries and the peaches. Oh, that thing was tasty. It really was. So I definitely will be making some more of that and having the fresh peaches. To have the nice fresh peaches. So yeah, today was a really eventful day of going and getting my peaches. It really was. And people were buying all kinds of things. They were. It's fun to go to the fresh produce and farm markets to get the fresh stuff and not just in the grocery store. Sometimes you pay a little bit more for it, but you know, it's just kind of worth it. It really is. When I buy the ball canning jars, you know, I buy them for a reason of paying that ball price for them, because I like my decorative jars, and I don't skimp on the peaches. I like to get the good ones. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go with just about one more here. Just one more. So again, you just wanna Take the skins off, peel them off, cut them where it's bite size, and put them in your pan because this is going to cook. Cook, cook, cook. It's going to taste pretty good too. It really is. My yard selling today, there was only a few. I don't go all over in this, an itch on my nose. I don't go all over in this mini city. I just kind of do a perimeter around my house. And usually I find some. And today I ran into the nicest people at each one. I really did. It wasn't just kids having yard sales or anything. They were people more my age or older. And you stand there, you know, and you're just talking about all kinds of little things with them. And that's kind of what I like, is the nice conversation that you go to when you're out and about. So I like that part of it. Okay, so we kind of clean that up with my fresh rag here. I'm getting that juice all off of there. So I've got about that much in my pan now, and that's all right. So that was the peaches. Now we're going to take one of these onions, and I only need half of it. So I'm going to go right down the middle and just get half of this onion. That smells fresh and nice. It really does. Very nice. Take this outer skin off. My little trash can over here that I've got going. Get that skin off of there. We don't need that part. Take that part off. Take the back side off. Don't need that. Okay, so there's my half. And again, you're going to think about this of how you're eating it in the pan. I mean, in the sauce part, is you only want bite size. So I will cut all these, and then I'll come back and I will do them about like that. Cut it in half and then half again. Not half and two like my grandmother always used to say, that drove my dad nuts. You either cut it in half or you cut it in two. There is no half and two, but that's how she talked from Oklahoma, and it was really kind of cute. Okay, so there's the onion. All nice and in there. And now we're going to go with the bell pepper. Take out the inside part. Get rid of the seeds and the vein in here. You can use the top part. You just have to cut around that stem, but you certainly can use it, which today I'm going to. That part out so you have all that nice fresh bell pepper. Looks just fine. Just fine. And again, we want to just come along with this and cut it where it's just little bite size. Just the little ones. A bell pepper is such a sweet taste. These smell really good. I think they smell and are going to taste a lot sweeter than what you buy in the grocery store. So many people buy organic vegetables because of the quality of the taste in the organic versus just your regular vegetables. And that's fine. But when you have these fruit stands like what I have down here, it pays to go shop at them. Whoop, here we go again with my landline. I'll be right back. Story of my life, interruption after interruption. Okay, back again to show you that I got the bell pepper all cut up and put in the pan. So that was just one nice bell pepper. Now we're going to take the nice tomato and we're going to get it all cut up nice. Wow, that smells pretty good. It really does. It really does. Have my doggy thinking somebody's in the driveway, only they're not. Apologize. I will begin to do this tomato now. My house is well lived in, I'll tell you that right now. 2 little dogs keep me quite busy. They do. All right, so again, we're going to cut this tomato into bite-sized pieces. Just bite-size. So my recipe called for the 4 medium peaches. I used a little bit more than that, and that's all right. And it calls for 2 of the tomatoes. Oops. 2 of the tomatoes. If you don't like the little end in there, in fact, I think I will just kind of cut that out, the little hard piece, because you don't really want to eat that when you're munching on a chip. So I'll go ahead and cut that out. Don't need that in there. Just don't. Now, because these are large, very large, you could get away with maybe 1 large tomato or 2 small ones. But again, I really do just kind of eyeball my ingredients in here to tell. So I am going to add the second one. Just looks like it needs it. Little bite size. And any area that you don't want, like I said, we can cut that out. These little hard areas on the end. Get rid of them. Don't need them. Not gonna do us any good. Now when this tomato cooks and cooks down, it's gonna become soft and nice anyway, but we still need to make sure that the size of the bites are what we want. Okay. So peaches, onions, bell pepper, and tomato all goes in here to begin with. That's the first main ingredient. Set this aside. That's the first part. Now what you're going to need are, let's see here. I haven't made this in just a little while. So the garlic, I had a garlic out here, but I didn't like it. It wasn't as fresh as what I wanted. So whenever that happens, I always have a backup of the minced garlic that I always keep in my refrigerator that's ready to go. And on this, it does call for 2 garlic cloves, so I'm just going to take about 1/2 of a teaspoon of the garlic and put in there. And then it calls for 4 tablespoons of cider vinegar, the apple cider vinegar. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4 of that. And then it calls for 1 teaspoon of lime juice, if you have a regular lime, which I do, but it's real fast to use these little containers that have either a lemon or a lime. So I'm just going to squeeze out 1 teaspoon of the lime juice. Make sure it's a good helping teaspoon also. Okay, that's that part. And then we need 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Just a helping one, just a little helping one there. And then we need 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Put that in there. And here's the 2 ingredients that I was trying to tell you about, were these little cans of the Ortega dried green, diced green chilies, and I just get the mild. I really do. I don't like the hot jalapenos or anything else. I just get the mild one, and you'll need 2 of these. 2 little jars. Pretty simple, huh? Not really a whole lot of ingredients. It really isn't. And then you just kind of stir that up just a little bit and stick this on the stove. And we're going to cook this now for a good, I'm going to say a good 8 to 10 minutes. And then while I'm over here showing you how my canning jars, all this time that I've been doing all the prep work to get this going, my canning jars have been in the hot water, boiling and sterilizing. And that's the big part of anything that you do when you're canning. You want those jars nice and clean. So I will jump over to the stove now and start cooking this. So I'll be right back. I am back over at my stove area now to show you the process of the next step after I have cooked the peaches and the tomatoes and the bell peppers and everything. They're sitting here ready now. They're soft and nice, and they're sitting here ready to go in these canning jars. So the first thing you want to do not shut off your fire under this pot, because you're going to need it again. So, and you're going to need the water in there. So you take a hold of the jar, and I like to just dump the water out, back in. And I like to set my jars down on a tea towel, some kind of a cloth, but it's a tea towel, a kitchen towel. Keeps them nice and in place. And they're very, very hot, they really are. This is where this little gadget, I don't like to use the other one. I like a firmer hold on these jars, because they can get away from you. Especially the large ones when I do my tomatoes, when I'm canning tomatoes. Those jars are big and they can get away from you. Again, we're going to take all these out now. The hot, nice, sterile water. These are all nice and clean. And the reason why I like these little decorative ones is because, yes, if I was to give away my salsa, which I have done a lot, I like to put little ribbons, you know, around the jar and decorate them pretty. And I can do that with these and make them look nice. Now I want to come down in this hot, hot water, boiling water in here, and I want to get all these lids out, the rims. And I want to get the top part of the little lid also. It's not really too long. Like I said, I went probably about 10 minutes, 10 or 15, I don't remember. I didn't really time it. I just know that they've been boiling the whole time that I have put the ingredients for this salsa together. These little jars have been boiling and getting clean, and that's what you want. Okay, so nice clean towel that you've put them on. Jars are ready for the sauce. I can take one of these now, and what I'm going to do is kind of switch this around. Like I said, you don't want to get rid of this water in any way, shape, or form, because you're going to be using that again. But I do kind of want to move it over. It's a big boy. It is. But I'm going to leave my burner part on. And I'm just going to bring this kind of right over here. So this is now cooked really nice. It's cooked down and it's nice and soft. And that's what we want. And then we're going to take even amounts now of this mixture. And I go slow at it, especially with something like this. I go very slow and just kind of do a little bit at a time with this. You want that juice in there also. And you're just going to fill the jars, start filling them. You want to leave a 1/4 inch up at the top. So that's about right there. Then you want to move to your next jar. and start filling it. Pretty simple, isn't it? It wasn't too hard. This is pretty easy. Anybody can do this, truly. Not hard to can at all. Canning to some people is very, very intimidating, and it shouldn't be. There's just a few little guidelines that you have to follow, but really not too much, and it all comes out. It does. Okay. So I'm going to get at least 4 jars out of just one little batch. Now, because I have an awful lot of peaches, I can keep going on this. As long as you have the little cans of the chilies, which I do in the cupboard. I do. And I just kind of go down just a little bit. This one can go just a little bit more to catch the final little bits of this, because you don't want to leave any out. You really don't. I will wash my pan, this particular pan. I will wash it before I start another batch. I just like to do that and have things clean. I'm going to put this back on my heat, which I have mine on high. And now the next step on this is I like to take a nice clean rag, nice clean one that you've got wet, and I'll go around the tops of my jar just to get it kind of a little bit wet, and then you're going to start putting these on. Tight. Screw it on with the lid tight. These are very, very hot jars, so you have to kind of watch that you don't burn yourself. Tight. Now, once you have finished with these, and wherever you're going to place them in your house, you leave them alone. You just let them sit on a counter for 2 days. You don't want to bother them at all for 2 days. And there's the nice little salsa that's all nice and canned. And I'm going to go now and put it back in here, because we're going to give this what's called a water bath, which you put the water where it comes over the lid. Get it a little bit more with some water that goes over the lid. And you're going to cook that for another 10-15 minutes before you take this out. Once you've done it for a good 10 minutes on the water bath and it's boiling, then you take it out, same thing, just lift it out with this, just lift the whole jar up, put it down on your cloth, and then leave it alone for 2 days. Well, wherever you want on your counter so that it's not in your way, but do leave it alone for 2 days. So that's that part of it there, and I'm going to go back on and make some more now, but that's the principle of making my peach salsa. It's very, very tasty and good. I hope you give it a try. Start with some good peaches, start with some good, nice, fresh tomatoes, and your bell peppers, and you've got it made. You've got a nice, nice salsa that you can enjoy this summer or give to people as little gifts, whatever. But that's my recipe for my peach salsa. From my kitchen to yours, I hope you've enjoyed my little canning video. I'll catch you next time on Cooking with Carol Diane. Bye-bye now.